All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, we want to give our praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, and Kakwadash. Giving double honors to the apostle and elders, a great millstone. Shalom to the hopefully elect. Shalom to all the brothers out here laboring in this truth with sincerity. Shalom to the few sisters that watch. Just coming back with another lesson. It's your brother Radha, out of the GMS Atlanta camp. Just coming back, see what's going on the West Coast, LA, all throughout California. You got riots, you got protests going on all around the country right now about the ICE deportations, but, hey man, we're in a different spirit, we're hoping that this ushers in martial law, Jacob's trouble, to further prophecy, even though we know we're going to suffer, it's not going to be good, but it has to happen. All these things has to happen before our Lord comes back. And that's what we do, man. We're hastening the day that our Lord comes back, so we just look at people for what they are, man. You got so-called Negroes, niggas, you got Hispanics, niggas, people of the world, basically. These people, we don't feel sorry for the anguish, and their plight. We don't care about that, man. Because the word is going out. These people have no regard for it. Therefore, they're enemies, man. Not in the sense of doing harm to them, but when it comes to this truth and Yahweh Shem Yahushai, people of the world are really sinners, man. They're sinners. They have no regard for the gospel. It's all about them and what make them feel good, man. You got a Latino tribe, Issachar mainly, fighting, waving a Mexican flag, fighting to stay in the United States, man. Like, how weird is that? But, that's enough for that rambling. Let's get into some scriptures. And matter of fact, we'll get into, just to set the tone, we'll get into this clip from Instagram. And you saw it, man. They out here looting for Jordans, man. For Jordans. In the time of trouble, they're thinking about Jordans. That lets you know how far gone these people are, man. These are not our people. These are really brute beasts out here. So let's go to the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 3, and we're just going to get verse 1. It says, it says difficult times will come. It says, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. So perilous times are really here. People are struggling, especially the so-called black woman. Now the Latin tribes are under siege, under attack, about to be deported back to probably somewhere they're not even from. You have families being broken up. You have people losing their lives. You know, I'm sure it's going to be a death toll by the time all this comes out. And you got Donald Trump about to send a National Guard. Well, he already sent the National Guard. You know, but next to come is going to be all-out warfare, man. You know, he's going to give him permission to be able to use deadly force if need be. So, on the flip side of that, man, here in Atlanta, you got Negroes going to Rick Ross's house, worrying about a car show, man. Traveling all over the South to come to Atlanta for a car show, man. That shows you what a disconnect is, you know. These people, I talked to some people that's clueless. They had no clue that the National Guard was being sent to L.A. You know, that's where these people's minds are, man. You know, that's why it says Yahweh Shem Yahushai or Yahweh Shai is going to come as a thief in the night. And it's more and more evident, and we see why. Because people are not paying attention. You know, they're definitely not listening to the prophets, man. People are just involved in their own lives. Folly. You know, that's what people are concerned about. Fun, you know, doing food reviews, going to different parks, cruises. You know, when I say parks, I mean like amusement, Disney, doing Disney reviews, stuff like that, man. You know, we so fed up, man. We praying that Yahweh Shem Yahushua brings another demic, you know, to shut down the folly, man. These people have no sense of seriousness. You know, even in serious situations, they still find a way to create folly. But, you know, it's all through the curses, man. But, matter of fact, we'll go to the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 6. And we're going to drop all the way down to 57, verse 57. It says, "And now, O Lord, behold, these heathen which have ever been reputed as nothing have begun to be lords over us and to devour us." So that's what you see going on right now in L.A. These heathen, you know, they pretty much have no control, man. Edom is coming down, bringing the hammer down, you know. Bringing the hammer down upon them. You know, the hammer of the earth is bringing the hammer down on the northern tribes right now. And I saw something about, you know, some Hamites or something were gonna be banned, you know, but they just collateral damage or whatever. But you know, the main target are the tribes, and soon Judah will be next. We know, you know. But that's when it all will pop off. It says, verse 58, "But we thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, thy only begotten, and thy fervent lover, are given into their hands." Yeah, you know, Yahweh Shem Yahushua turned us over to these heathen, man. You know, to be ruled over for our disobedience, you know. So now the punishment is being brought forth, you know, by way of being deported, you know, being locked up, not having peace in your home, thinking these people are going to come in your home, snatch you out of your home, take your kids, you know. But it all comes from the disobedience, because you still have northern tribes that participate in idol worship, you know. So, you know, it's all a punishment, man. You know, but it all has to happen before our Lord comes back. Verse 59, it says, "If the world now be made for our sakes, why do we not possess an inheritance with the world? How long shall this endure?" And it's going to endure until Yahweh Shem Yahushua see fit, you know, until the MOTB is ushered in. until the nuclear missiles are shot off, then it will end. When the new kingdom is set up, that's when it's going to end. So we still got some time, man, to endure. But ultimately, once Judah is roused up, it's really going to kick off, man. It's really going to kick off. So this is the book of Genesis, chapter 49, and we're going to drop down to verse 8. It says, Judah, your brothers will praise you, hey, all the tribes, northern kingdom. This, matter of fact, this is in GNT. It says, you hold your enemies by the neck. Your brothers will bow down before you. So, until Judah is roused up and just take charge, then you're gonna have to suffer, man. You're gonna have to suffer. Hey, man, we know this is all about the elect first and foremost, man. So we just patiently waiting on our Lord to come back and set the record straight with the nations. First and foremost, these Edomites. It says Judah is like a lion, killing his victim and returning to his den, stretching out and lying down. No one dares to disturb him. Judah will hold the royal scepter, and his descendants will always rule. Nations will bring him tribute and bow in obedience before him. So ultimately, Judah, the head tribe, will rule, and all the other tribes will fall in line, man. So, hey, we right around the corner, man. We right around the corner. So, first is the northern tribe, and soon it'll be the southern, Judah, first and foremost. So it's coming. Jake is going to feel it, man. Jake is going to feel it. And all hell is going to break loose. So, with that being said, we want to constantly give our praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rekakwadash. Shalom.